Gnashing with Teeth. I'm Casey.
Did you just say gnashing with teeth?
Gnashing of Teeth. Did I say gnashing with
It
teeth?
sounded like with
All
teeth,
right.
but gnashing of teeth. This is my way.
Gnashing of Teeth. Yeah, mashing with teeth, mashing of teeth, mashing the teeth. Doesn't matter. Let me explain this to you. This is episode 21. G, what's that? Did I get it?
The other one,
Oh,
the
I'm
other
showing 12. I'm
other
showing
order.
12. Watch this.
Yep,
Boom. Episode 21. Look at that, people.
there you go. There you go.
Episode
Yes, sir.
21. Hey, all right, good, good. You look good. Good seeing you. Was your
Thanks.
was your was today your late day at work?
It was. It was.
Good for
But
you. Good for
I
you.
went. It went. It was a pretty smooth week, actually. It's a pretty smooth week. Enjoyed it relative to other weeks, of course. So yeah.
My week was god awful. I couldn't do anything right. Couldn't make anyone happy. Ordered all the wrong stuff. Got in trouble the whole entire time. Whatever. I can walk off anytime I want. Well,
There you
what
go.
what do you? I saw Cap. Is that the Gatorade? What are
No,
you drinking?
I don't have Gatorade this time.
Good. What? That is
Yeah.
like. What do you have?
I got warm Pepsi,
Good for. Well, okay,
and then
maybe.
I got a fourth of a bottle of water, Fiji, straight from the islands.
Do you need me to Venmo you some money? It looks like you're running low on things.
No, no, I'm using scraps right now. I'm using scraps.
There you go.
The Pepsi
Scrap it.
was from earlier. The Fiji was from work. It's
You're
just
scrapping.
scraps.
Nah, you're scrapping. Good for you. At least you have something. Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you eat dinner tonight?
I did. I had a burrito.
From where? Did you get one or did you make it?
Uh,
Someone make it?
no, I got it from somewhere.
Good for you.
Local Mexican place.
Oh, gorgeous. I think I'm gonna dive into the pizza world tonight. Get some,
Nice.
get some, get some pies, get some sticks, maybe some
There you go.
wings, maybe on that. Um, so you and I, this topic tonight, we wanted to talk about. Uh, the, I mean, this is something we should have done, a minute ago, and
And we did. This is fun. Why don't you tell the audience our first time that we tried to film this? It was episode 9,
it was.
and we tried to do this exact episode, and we botched it.
I
And
I made a lot of mistakes. Our editor could have edited some of
I
these mistakes
I
out.
would have edited the whole
I
video
was
out. It
about
would
you,
have just
you interrupted me, and I was going to about say the episode had been about 4 minutes. Uh, any anyway, Milo's right. Let the audience know we tried doing this episode, and we just didn't want to air it yet till we got a little bit of money under the belt, a little bit of feet on the ground, a little bit more knowledge there. So
yeah.
anyway, and he's probably known as the most notorious occultist of all time,
Mm,
hands
yeah.
down. This is the guy. Been there, done that. Dude lived a long life, died, done it all, seen it all, and we're gonna talk about. Now it's said in a couple different ways. I've heard Crowley and I've heard Crowley when we talk about the old Alistair. What last name do you know? That's Crowley, or maybe potato, or whatever. I don't know.
Probably. But I think it's yeah.
Eh, Crowley. Uh, here's kind of what I know. I know a little bit about the guy. I have a couple. I have the Book of the Law, and I have the Book of Lies. and I've read one of his poetry books. I also knew I have a Crowley uh I got a third I got a couple more. Uh Interesting read, of course. But
Mhm.
what I know is that he was born into some wealth. He was born into some wealth. His father and family owned like a distillery. So they made like beer or whiskeys or something. And so he just kind of came into money. And then supposedly his family were like these diehard Christians that he actually went and attended like service and did the whole thing. And then his dad got sick and died, I believe, of cancer. And that gave him a really bad taste in the mouth. So after that, he would start just, raising his hand in church and in different places and just kind of arguing, the Bible, saying, well, that's not right. This is not right. So, whatever brings you into the occult, I suppose is correct. I also know that because he had a bunch of money, he was able to travel all over the place and kind of experience a lot of things. So that's kind of before we get crazy, that's kind of the beginning of kind of his life. Did you hear anything different or the same of that kind of same story? What did you hear, G?
Yeah, very similar. He
Yep.
got into wealth because I didn't know it was like a brewery or a distillery, but I knew it was from his father, and he was able to travel and do things that like we wish as a cultist we could do,
Right.
and spend all of our free time kind of studying and all that jazz. But yeah, very similar from what I've read. So,
Yeah. Well, the beauty of him having the money is, like when he performs the Abramelin takes like 4 days or 5 days. But you and I are never going to be able to do that. We work.
isn't the Abermelon like 40 days?
It, if that's the case, then none of us are going to be able to do it. It might be. I don't know. Yeah, it's
I don't know.
four
It's been a
something,
while
four
since I've
weeks,
read it.
4 days, four. You could be right. I don't know. I don't know.
It's more time than we have.
It's that's what I'm saying.
It's
Like
more time than we have.
he took a girl to like the Great Pyramid and did a ritual in the Great Pyramid. I will never see the Great Pyramid in my life. Dude went in there and spent the night for a week.
Yeah, so yeah, he's got a bunch of titles, right? So occultist, writer, poet, about 30 others. From what I've read, it's a very similar beginning. He got into the occult and eventually joined the Golden Dawn. I'm pretty sure he was in Freemasonry as well, and he started his own order. And it's like capital A and another capital A with like a period in between them, just
Hmm.
double A or something like that. He started that. Um, I know that he was living in the U.S. for a little bit during World War One. He then bought a place in Sicily, and he called it the Abbey of Thelema, or Thelema, however you want to call it. And he eventually got pretty bad credit because one of like his followers died there, which led to Britain calling him the quote unquote wickedest man alive. So that's how he got that title. And we can get into like what he kind of did in the middle because that's the whole point. But towards the end of his life, it was around 1930s that he ran out of money, his inheritance. He moved back to England, and eventually died in poverty. So pretty abrupt end, but yeah, just a quick timeline there.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I agree. I like it. Um, so yeah. So I know that there's moments in his deal where he met a girl named Rose, and spent some time there with her. He also ended up having a child somewhere around there. And then he also, let me think. I gotta think here. He also, the Abbey of Thelema, was that the
Mhm.
house that was like the drug house and they had like he had painted pictures all over it? I think that's it.
It could be. But I'm sure
Well,
he had probably a
well,
lot of places.
so obviously he talked to an anti-terrestrial called Lamb, Lam, and he has a picture of a lamb drawn on that wall in that building. Uh, if we're talking about the same Abbey, uh, and that place looked awful. It looked like a big drug den, like you said. He was into like drugs and trying to just do whatever. Uh, a really cool story is when he bought the place on Knockless. So he bought a place on Knockless over in Scotland,
Mhm.
and he tried to perform the Abramelin. Now he's performed with a lot of people. Like he performed with Rocket L. Ron Hubbard. He did some stuff with. He also did some stuff with that Rocket Parsons. Parsons, who's a genius. He did some stuff with Parsons. I think all of them did Babylon Awakening, which was they were trying to get the whore of Babylon like show up. I don't know. The other thing, oddly enough, is like he buys this house, right? It's like a little cottage. It's a beautiful little cottage, and it's on Loch Ness. And Alistair buys it, and he shows up there, and he's going to perform the Abramelin. The week, the day, the 40-day thing, who knows? I don't know. But he's trying to perform it. And he starts it. He starts the thing. And he eventually, one of his friends needs help. So he just up and leaves the ritual. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
as any magician knows, you can't just up and leave. You have to. It's like the Ouija board or whatever. You say goodbye and like, can we continue later? Whatever. He up and left.
Mhm.
Supposedly never came back, or if he did come back, he didn't finish because the Led Zeppelin guitar player Jimmy Page ended up buying that house because he's like you and me. Jimmy Page is an occultist. I don't know if he's a practicing
Mhm.
occultist, but I know he's definitely interested in the philosophy of it. And he went in there and moved out in like weeks. Boom, I'm out of here. And supposedly it's one of the haunted places ever. Oddly enough, to perform the Abramelin, you are going to ask to speak to your own guardian angel and meet them. That is the Abramelin.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so he didn't get to, and Zeppelin guy bought it and nothing happened. But if you think about it, uh, that place is now haunted, slamming doors, things flying around. So, like, is a guardian angel stuck there? Maybe. Or is something there that doesn't like a guardian angel being there? Who knows? All I know is he bought a house, performed the ritual, and now it's haunted. Which I try to keep exorcists and occult, hauntings and occult separate. I totally do.
Right.
I totally do. And it's hard to do on this one, but it's also just hearsay. It's also kind of hearsay. I, like you and I have not been at the house. We don't know if it's haunted. We don't know if Jimmy Page even went in it. Did Aleister Crowley really buy
Right.
that and perform? He did. Might not even perform the Abramelin. Who knows? This is all just like talk, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard about like that middle stuff? Have you heard any of that of the rituals and the buying of homes and just him doing the weird things he does?
Yeah, I've heard quite a bit. He's a man that you'd want to, sit down at a bar with and hear his stories, sit around the campfire with.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
you did mention his trip to Egypt with his wife Rose, which sparked some events. It was his honeymoon with Rose,
Oh
and
wow.
that's when he claimed to hear a voice, which he later identified as his quote unquote holy guardian angel that he named. I guess he didn't name if it's his holy guardian angel, but AIWASS, I think is what it was, AWAS or something like that.
That's him.
And
Yeah, that's him. It was. That's
that's
right.
where he claimed to hear that voice was during that trip. So, and that inspired, I think was it the Book of the Law? I think that's what it was. He wrote quite a few books.
He has
Uh, book
tons
of
of
the Book of Thoth, Book of the
yeah,
Law is mentioned,
yeah, Book of
Book of
Lies.
Lies or whatever. Yep.
Yeah. He's got a bunch. He's got a bunch of books. Have you read any of them?
Yeah. Actually, I read the Book of the Law just recently, actually, because I don't own like a lot of his work. But I will say one thing that I find interesting that I've heard like really good things about, that he kind of, I shouldn't say invented, but he kind of contributed towards. And it was the Star Ruby ritual.
All right.
And he kind of created it, but it's kind of like an off-brand lesser pentagram ritual by the Golden Dawn. And the significant difference is basically that the Golden Dawn used Hebrew in the lesser pentagram ritual, and the Star Ruby is derived from Greek. But I've heard a really good thing. It's a banishing like rite ritual, and I've heard really good things about it
Wow.
as a banishment ritual. So I figured I'd throw that in there.
No, there's actually a story of him when he's walking with either a colleague, a peer, or maybe Kelly, or he's walking with someone. And I don't think the person's a skeptic. I think I remember to hear hearing the story saying, "Hey, I'm walking with Aleister Crowley." Aleister Crowley didn't tell the story. Someone else is telling the story about Aleister. But they're walking down a street of a city, right? And then whoever's walking with him, I forget who it was, says, "Aleister, show me your magic." And Aleister says, "Yeah, okay." And guy says in his head, "Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to see this." You know. And so
Yeah.
Aleister points to a guy about 20 feet, maybe 15 feet ahead of him, just walking.
Mm-hmm.
And Aleister says, "Watch this." And Aleister stares at him and starts to mimic the way he's walking. And Aleister does this for a block. He does it for like another block. And all of a sudden, Aleister falls to his knees and that guy falls. Boom! Like 2 seconds after Aleister. And the guy picks him up and says, "That's unbelievable." And Aleister's kind of like, "Yeah, you should believe." And that was kind of it. The story over. And so, I mean, you and I are always talking about tangible things that we can see in magic. That could be a total lie. But coming from, like, if Alistair said it, "Hey, bro, I was following a guy, bro, and then he was floating in the air, bro, and then he came down and he bowed to me, bro, and then he slipped and fell, bro." Like, that's a whole different game than someone else is testimony of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that story is written in a lot of books. The thing with Crowley's writing is, and I don't know what it is, but it's like Hum Kapoor and hyphenated, like almost Egyptian sounding names. I'm not sure what language You know, do you know what I'm talking about? So, he's got these hyphenated whom kapor and whom ki pi, and just like he's got
Yeah,
all these
yeah, yeah, yeah.
weird stuff that I can't relate to Samaria. I can't relate anywhere. So to me, I think it's an Egyptian language or writing, but they did hieroglyphics. So I'm a little confused on like his writing, who he's talking about. Someone's whispering it to him, I think. I don't know. He's a confusing guy,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. His stuff is definitely out there. Um, I think with all like those uh kind of words and and all that jazz,
Yeah.
it could be derived from Greek potentially because there is a lot of Egyptian stuff. He correlates with Egyptian and Greek stuff.
I actually,
I'd like to get into.
go ahead, go,
No,
roll.
go ahead.
No, you
No, no,
roll.
no, no. No, you go because
Real
I
quick,
was gonna move on. You
real
were
quick.
gonna. Yep.
Yep, real quick. Could that be an end? When he says, say, yada, dada, dada, is that like an end? Is like, could that be an end that he worked that worked? Not necessarily a name or a person, but, hum, shit, poor, or whatever. And then that's just an M to something, maybe. I don't know.
An N.
Could it be? Is maybe he's not talking about a person. Maybe it's an N, a chant.
So like a mantra.
Yeah,
Um,
a
I mean,
meditation.
potentially. It really just depends. I heard he was into Kabbalah and yoga and
He
about
is.
30 other things.
Yeah.
So,
Take it on. Take it.
um,
Go. Roll. Roll. You
so
got
I
it.
did want to touch on Thelema because I think it's a pretty popular topic, and
It's
you
huge.
got some stuff. I'll start it out here. Thelema is derived from derived from Greek, and it means will. Um, and the very popular thing is, what's the phrase? Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, I
That
believe it
is the
is.
whole of the law. That's correct.
And then like right below it, it says like love is law and love under will or something like that. So
Mhm.
who knows what the law is?
And we're all
But
stars. We're all come from stars.
exactly.
Yep.
Um, there's a big thing on 93,
Yep.
like the number 93, and I was reading into this, and
Well,
um,
939393. There's a Tesla thing there as well. Nikolai Tesla had a big thing with 9, 6, and 3. And a lot of
mhm.
these masters talk about if you can master 3, 6, and 9, and the way the geometry of 3, 6, and 9 or the mathematics of that work, 9, 3, 9, 3 bands do it. Go. Sorry. There's
Don't you
something
just wish you had all the time in the universe to just study stuff like that?
I do. I wish I did.
It'd be crazy.
It'd be fun. It'd be a lot of
So
fun. It'd be a lot of
basically,
fun.
it would be
Yep.
um, agape, Agape,
Yep.
translates to love, and Thelema translates to will. Each of those, Thelema and agape, both numerical, so number wise, equals 93. So when you're talking to like a Thelemite, or I was reading a bunch of stuff on discussions on like their subreddit and like Facebook groups and stuff like that, and they always like do like an outro of like 93 slash like 93, and I never knew what the hell it meant until now. But anyways, just wanted to throw that tad bit in. Another cool thing that is kind of specific to Thelema is their time periods. They believe in aeons. Okay, so um, he's the whole point of the show, and I
Well,
completely
we
forgot
have
his
it.
name. Crowley.
Oh, other people have said that things are measured in eons. It's not just Crowley. Like this is kind
Correct,
of a
correct.
known thing, right?
But what I'm about to get into is kind of specific to him.
Okay.
Um, he claimed he was a prophet of the era that he deemed Aeon of Horus. So the first Aeon he claimed was Isis. Well, I don't know if he claimed it. Don't quote me on that. But Thelema as a whole. The first Aeon was Isis,
Mhm.
and then it was Osiris. And Osiris was supposed to symbolize the Abrahamic beliefs in the mono, one theistic God. And that's kind of dominating right now. And the Aeon of Horus, which Aleister Crowley deemed that he was a prophet of, was supposed to be the awakening of humans to a greater spirituality and leave Abrahamic beliefs. And it's kind of cool seeing kind of the greater, looks like a paganistic uh, awakening that we're seeing in a lot of younger generations right now. Just wanted to throw that in there. The pantheon used by Thelema is mainly Egyptian. So to give a few examples, or a couple, I guess, Nuit, Nuit.
He says it. He says it. He says it all. Knew it is in all everything he does.
The Book of the Law is yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's got it all over the place. Is a Egyptian sky goddess. Thoth, Thoth, is an Egyptian god of writing, creativity, I think, and basically wisdom.
Mhm.
Another real winner that I think he created, and I don't know if it's an actual entity, is Babylon. And if I had to guess, I think it's just a construct for the overall divine feminine that's very hypersexualized, but I can't blame because it is Aleister Crowley. An interesting figure nonetheless. I did get into Babylon and the ties to Enochian with Edward Kelly and John Dee, but I talked about that connection in that episode. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. I don't know if it's episode 12. I think it's episode 12. So that's the gist of what I know about Thelema.
The Thelema of today is kind of a different world. They take a lot of the teachings of Crowley. They take a lot of the teachings of what he was doing, and they've taken it into kind of this different realm or a different mode. And so religiously, they say, and I only seen this on a couple of people on YouTube, so I don't know if this is an actual thing or just a few small sects, sects, but
Yeah.
they're kind of saying, hey, we know Crowley brought this to our attention and we love it, but we don't really like him. So they have like some of these newer groups of Thelema, they're still practicing the writing of Crowley, but they're not telling people, hey, we like believe in Crowley, because they don't. They believe in his writing at the time. They believe in what he said was right, and then he kind of turned out to be kind of an awful human being. And then right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't think he did, but they did. And so then they say, hey, yeah, if you're gonna bring up Crowley to us, we're gonna say, yeah, we know that he did it. There's a footnote in there. We respect him, but there's absolutely no worship, and there's absolutely not much credit given, because we're not gonna we follow that rule, but we don't act the way he acted, like the drugs and the crazy sex and all the crazy stuff. That's you'd think if you're going to practice
Yeah.
the lima, you'd have to do those things, and they're saying no, we don't do any of that. We practice the belief of what he was teaching, but not necessarily like the guy.
Yeah, they're
Oddly
taking
enough.
like, like the diamonds that he kind of created. He did a lot of things and he wrote about a lot of stuff, and they're taking kind of what works out of that and the magic that he kind of taught out of that. But all the stuff that you said, like drugs and the craziness aspect of it, they're kind of like, yeah, maybe that's a bit too far.
Or
But
they're trying to make Thelema a great name, and with him on it, it doesn't help much because if anyone like if some lady came to my mom and said, "Hey, you should join the Thelema," and mom would be like, "Oh, it's amazing." And then when her and dad go look it up, they'd be like, "Absolutely not." So there is a moment there where, like, if that religion of Thelema lives on, it'd be hard to keep Alistair on the ticket because he caused so much chaos that be hard to. Yeah, I don't know. Be
yeah,
hard. It'd be hard to get
yeah,
fans if and people if you didn't say, we know he created it, but we're taking it to a different level." Anyway,
yeah. It didn't gain a lot of Thelema as a whole didn't gain a lot of traction until after he died. And there's
right.
obviously different, like you said, sects and stuff like that. That some probably worship him as a god, others take his teachings and run with it. And yeah,
I think there's a lot of let's start summarizing because the timer kicked. I think there's a lot of knowledge to get from Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley spent a whole lifetime with a ton of money to be in the occult. So if you can even wrap your head around that, dude knows stuff. So when he writes, I read. Now sometimes he loses me and I don't get it. And I keep going back and trying to get it. And but the beauty is it's forever there, is it not? We will always be able to go to his books and look them up and read them. And maybe one day we will find out if he is an amazing magician. Maybe one day we'll find out that, he's just Alistair. Or who knows? But
yeah,
one thing for sure, if you type in a cult, he comes up number one every time because he's a big dog and he's been doing it for a long time. I don't want to take anything away from him. He's like you and me. He's kind of like, hey, I want to learn. I want to get in these secret societies. I want to learn all the books. I want to teach the magic. I want to learn magic. I'll write my own books about what I've encountered. I love it. I mean, the more of this guy that can come in, the better, right?
yeah,
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 and then like with any other magician, I want everyone to know that Milo agree with me. If he's doing something you don't want to do, you don't have to do it. Like, that's the beauty of
yeah,
the occult. The occult's not, you know, we're not like other religions that are like you have to tithe and pay us money. The occult's not like that. The occult is just like, hey, this is what you should do to be a better human and grow your spiritual growth. Anyway, those were my last words on Aleister Crowley. I'm a fan of Aleister Crowley. Um, I think if you're going to read a book, you should read all of his, but then don't stick on those. You have to evolve and read the others because there's so much info out there. You have to do it. My man, Top G, summarize. Let's kick it.
yeah, yeah. You pretty much summarized it for me.
I was trying. I was
I think it
trying.
was a good topic. Well overdue.
Great topic. Yep.
Well overdue. Episode 21, banging them out every single week, running it up.
21.
Matching shirts.
21. Yeah. Yeah. I called him earlier. I said, "You wearing plain white?" And he said, "Yeah." Well, I'm doing it. We're going in. We're going big. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, any questions, hit us up at our email. Gnashing of Teeth Podcast, Gmail. Hit us up. And of course, be like Mark, be like these guys. Hit us up in the comments and let's all learn together and let's start spreading the wisdom of the occult where we're making it a fun and better place. All right. All right, Top G. Any last words before I click off?
You look tired.
I am. I am. Well, you look agitated. All right, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to stop recording. Here we go.